Welcome back everyone to the new episode of Making Chess in Godot 4. And in this video we will try to do checking. So first what we need is two new variables called white underscore king underscore position, which will be a vector 2 and 0, 4, since this is the starting position. And I will just copy and paste, change white to black, and a 0 to a 7, since this is the position of a black king at this beginning. And now we go to our set underscore move function, and here at the 6 we need to set right here to white underscore king position equals to I. So basically if we move our king, we want to update its position. And now I will just go to -6, and here paste it the same, and instead of white it will be black. And now let's go to the bottom, and here create a new function which will be is underscore in underscore check. Here we will have a king pos variable, which will be a type of a vector 2. And here first we need to define our directions, which will be all the directions from our king moves. And here copy this and just paste it instead of this. So we have all the directions we need. And now here we create a new variable which will be a pawn underscore direction, which will be equal to 1 if it is white, and if it is not, it will be -1, since if it is white's direction, then the pawns move in up, and if it is not, then it moves down. And now here we create another variable of pawn attacks, and here possible will be king underscore position plus vector 2, and here it will be pawn underscore direction and 1. Another one will be king underscore position plus vector 2, pawn underscore direction, and then -1. We have possible attacks from the pawns in to this king position. And now next we are going to check for attacks from pawns. So here we can do I in pawn attacks, and here we will check if is valid position of I. We basically need to check if I is inside the board, and if it is, we then check if it is white's turn, and if it is board, here it will be I.x and another I.y. Basically we are checking if our possible pawn attack position is equal to -1. We are checking if it is an enemy pawn which can attack us. If it is, then that means that we are in check. Another option it could be it is white's turn and board I.x, I.y equals to 1. Now if there is a pawn which can attack us, that means that there is a check in that square, and we just return true, basically telling that the king is in fact in check. And now we create another for loop which will be I in directions. Now here we create a position variable which will be just a king underscore pos plus I. Now if it is, then we check if is valid position of position. And now if it is, here we do if it is white's turn, and then here we do board pos x and pos y. And here we need to check if it is -6. Since kings only can move in one place, we need to differentiate the king and other piece movements. Another case, we can just copy this, make it isn't white, and here make it to 6. Since we are checking if it is not white's turn, then we are searching for positive 6, which is a white king. Now if this works, then we just return true. And now here we create a for loop for I in directions, and here we just copy this once again. Here we create a while loop, just like in getting moves, is a valid position pos, and if it is valid, then we check if isn't empty. Again, pause. And if it does not empty, then we create a variable called piece, which will be a board pos.x, pos.y, basically checking what kind of piece it is. Is it a bishop? Is it a queen or a rook? And now here we do if, in parentheses we do I.x equals to 0 or I.y equals to 0, and it is white's turn. And now we do a very cool thing. We basically check if the piece in basically is -4 or -5. Basically this can be converted into if piece equals to -4 or piece equals to -5. But this saves some space. And now we just copy these or paste this, and instead of negative it will be positive, and instead of white it will be isn't white. And here if it is not, then we do return. And now here we do elif. Again, I.x isn't null and I.y isn't null. Basically we are checking for diagonal movement, so here we do is white, and we can just copy this, paste it here, and instead of -4, -5 it will be -3 and -5 because we check for bishop or a queen. Now we can just copy this, do or, paste it, and instead of white it will be not white, and instead of -3 it will be +3 and 5. And here we return true once again. Now if there is a piece we do not need to move further, so we just break, and after the if statement we do pos plus equals to I. And now here we need to create knight underscore directions. So what we will do, we'll go to our knight movement and just steal it basically. Just copy, paste it, we have this, and now we create a for loop for checking the knight position. So for I in knight underscore directions, and here we do var position again, once again, and it will be king pos plus I. And now here we check if is valid position, pos, and if it is valid, now we check if it is white, and board.pos.x and pos.y is equal to -2, basically a knight. And now we just copy this, paste it here, we do isn't white and is +2. And now if it is, we return true. And now after the entire function, we do return false. If none of these returns worked, we just return false. So our is in check function is done. Now let's go to get underscore king underscore moves, and in this function, and here in our if is a valid position, here inside we just do if is in check. We are just basically putting the position. Now here we extend these by pressing tab, so these two ifs are in this if. Now if we start the game, let's move our pieces, we can move here, let's move our king. Now if I bring my knight out, let's say I move here. With this king I cannot go here or here, since it would be a check from the knight and a pawn. Now if I bring my bishop out right here, with this I cannot go here, since it would be a check from the bishop. And now we have the is in check function right here set up, but what we need to do to ensure everything works, if I go into the game, and here in this situation, if I move my queen to here, you can see that it allows this move, since the program sees that if the king was in this spot, our already moved king would be in the spot. So to ensure that all checks are visible, we do if it is white's turn, we do board white underscore king underscore position dot x, paste here instead of xy, and we set it to 0. Now just copy this, paste it here, and else we set it to a black king position. And now we copy this, go to the bottom of our function, and here paste this, and here we just set it back to 6 or -6. And now you can see that this thing works, but let's say I move my pawns here in this direction and I move my queen here. do some random moves. And now I put my queen right here. You can see that the only move the king can take is to capture the queen, but the other pieces can do all the moves they want. So what we will need to ensure next is to not let other pieces do any moves if the king is in check. Since if I made this, you can see that I can capture the king. So we will end here. Hope this was helpful. We'll do a full checking in the next video, and that's it. Goodbye.